This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield and his better half, Marney Winfield.
I went there to wake Chris up. Tyrone's in there. He's snoring loud as hell, and he's got his headphones on.
You can't hear it.
Yes, like probably if it goes to 10 being loudest, it's at a 10. And he's just sitting there. I'm like, what is he trying to drown out? Like, is he trying to keep Satan in? June 8th, 2021. My name is Corey Winfield.
My name is Marney Winfield.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Live recorded from California. Now, right now we're in San Jose. If you listened to the last episode, it was from LA, and that was on Saturday. We were visiting my brother. Well, now the tables have turned. Mm-hmm. Now I'm visiting the in-laws. And we're visiting Marney's brother, who lives in Northern California around the Boulder Creek area-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And right now we're staying in San Jose, and we'll get to our Airbnb story that is almost, if not better than our budget car rental story, which we're going to get to in a minute, as we promised on Saturday. But first, though, I just want to say, Marney, we've been in California for a few days. You've lived, obviously, in Michigan. You lived in Texas. You lived in Oklahoma. Would you ever live in California?
Okay, to answer that question, first off, if you would have asked me that before I came to visit for this trip, my answer would be absolutely not. I would never live in California.
I don't like those people.
No, it's not the people.
I'm not an earthquake
it's
fan.
just the whole, I don't know. I just don't care for it as a place to live.
I don't want to pay $5 a gallon for gas.
I know. It's a great place to visit, but I still kind of feel that way. But there are parts of California I know I would not want to live. I don't like big cities in general. I don't care for like Chicago or New York or any big cities, or definitely not LA. Not a big fan of LA.
No,
I did not like it at all. I liked seeing your brother, and I'm sure there's tons of stuff of like, the best kept secrets of LA. But for the most part, overall, it's just too crowded, and there's too much going on in a small space, and it's like it doesn't seem like there's any breathing room for anything. And that goes from like restaurants to walking down the sidewalk to parking to everything. Just not my flow. Not digging it. But there are places in California that we've driven through, which we had the opportunity to drive up from LA to where we are now here. Well, currently now in San Jose, but down up California 1, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that was a cool drive.
It was breathtaking, and the scenery was just amazing, and it was a beautiful day, and the skies, it was sunny, and we took some pictures out the window. Just pulled over at some of the spots to take some snaps, some shots and stuff. And no, it was amazing. So, we drove through like Malibu and, where else did we drive through? Santa? No.
We drove through a lot of places.
But there was some San Luis Obispo. We ended up staying a night there. That was a quaint little town. That was nice.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. You got your nails did there, so
yeah.
You have more to love about. See, San Luis Obispo, I almost took a job there for a company called Dime Media Broadcasting, and I'm glad I didn't. I would not have liked it.
No.
And people told me, it's so nice there. Oh, it's looked a little dirty to me.
Yeah.
Like, this just,
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's some takeaways that we're going to do at the end of the trip. At least I'm going to, and I'm going to encourage you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Takeaways from our trip, and some of them are, I thought people's houses would be nicer. I'm just saying, especially for the price that they're going for. And yeah, I get it. The cashiers here at the local grocery store make $55,000 a year. That's cool, man. But their rent's $2,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah,
that's just not the trade-off that I'm trying to do. And I know Michigan isn't the booming economic capital of America, not even close. We're probably almost dead last. That's just how it goes. But I wouldn't want to trade it for, I don't know. Like, it just,
Yeah.
gas is $5 a gallon. Well, yeah, but you make more. You know, how about I go out there, I'll be a cashier, and I'll mail the money home to you.
Right. Yeah.
I know other people do that from other countries, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you appreciative of the comfort that you do have, and, you know, the things that you do have in your life, as simple as they may be.
Yeah, we think Traverse City is expensive, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, compared to like places I've lived in, like Benton Harbor, Grand Rapids, yeah, it is. And Grand Rapids can get pricey too, but I don't know. It's not as bad as this place, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, California is just weird. And that's one of my takeaways. And another one that I'll just give you the obvious, you know, I'm just blurting out the obvious, is that there's a lot of weed here.
Oh my gosh.
When we
everywhere
get into the Airbnb portion of the podcast, which we'll do on Thursday, you'll hear all about that. But from the first one, there was some incidents, and just, I don't know, it was insane. LA, like, it was nuts, and like throughout the whole state, it's kind of the same way. It's just weed. Like, you just smell weed. In Michigan, you know, weed is legal for recreation. Now, some counties keep it illegal. And it's kind of like that here in California, but with vaping. Mm-hmm. Like, instead of like going, oh no, you can't smoke weed here, they're like, oh yeah, go get high as hell, but you better not be vaping.
Yeah.
You know, it's the weirdest thing, and well, that's because, you know, they entice children. Don't even get me started on the flavored vodka.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like, that's the dumbest thing, or just the fact that it's weed. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't know, it's just ass backwards if you ask me, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about budget rental. Yeah, that's the kind of noise I would have made. Mm-hmm. Now, we did talk about it last time, about how we're glad that we're not in the place where we used to be.
Absolutely.
You know, in active addiction or in very, very unstable early recovery. And that's when, you know, I would have a couple months, and you've been through the same thing, I think, too, and you'd think it would be a good idea to drink just that day or just that weekend, and it turns out to be just draining your bank account and a trip to the hospital. That's what I mean by early recovery. But yeah, like unstable early recovery. But if we would have went to budget rental, because we went there, mm-hmm. and we had an appointment at 1:30, mm-hmm. we were supposed to pick up a Ford Edge. That's the car I rented for a set price. And there's nothing I needed to do except show up, give them my payment info, and get the keys. A little in and out. Except it was in Marney's name, so the person had to be Marney. Not a big deal. So we get there, and there is a line around the side of the building, and we're thinking, man, this is at least an hour and a half, 2 hour wait. And we were wrong. It was longer.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, it took about 35, 40 minutes for us to get from picking up our luggage to wait for the shuttle to get us, to drop us. And we barely got on that shuttle. Right. It was packed. Like, we would have had to wait again for another shuttle to come. And so, just irritation central, I'm telling you. Like, just not happy campers right from the get.
Yeah, if we weren't solid in our recovery, I would have been like, well, F this, let's go to a different one. Let's just call a cab, get to a hotel, and we'll figure it out later. Mm-hmm. But we got to hit the liquor store too. Like, that would have been our top priority. You know, there's no way I could have stood in that line. I'd have been fiending too bad.
And if anybody's planning a trip to come to California and needs any advice on what not to do, mm-hmm. we can fill you in on all that.
Yeah. And don't ever go to budget rental.
Ever.
I don't care where you're going. If you see a budget rental, just keep...
we're boycotting them.
Yeah, just the name alone. Budget rental. Do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my advice, because there's some shady stuff to my wife. So knowing that they're going to try to upsell her, you know, and try to, well, you're going to need this extra insurance to cover the insurance's insurance, and we don't need any of that. Oh, do you want to upgrade to a Lamborghini? Nope. I want the Ford Edge. That'll work fine. And so I said, honey, I was like, don't let them try to upgrade you. We don't need no insurance. Tell them that's what theirs is for. And just let's go. Well, she goes in. to the building, which is there's still a wraparound line of about 30 minutes in there. So she gets up to the counter and does her thing. I'm outside waiting, watching the luggage. Only one person could go in at a time because I don't know where you're at in the country or the world, but in Michigan, they finally did away with you don't have to wear a mask when you go into places. So we're just now getting used to that. Well, California is a month behind us because they're talking about middle of June 15th. They're going to okay, you don't have to wear your mask now if you're vaccinated. So it's a real kind of kick in the nuts for us because we're already starting to get used to it again, not wearing the mask. And all of a sudden it's oh, put it back on. And oh, Jesus.
Right. So
it's kind of not that I care. I'll wear a mask if that's your policy, but let me just find it because I don't remember what I did with it. Kind of one of those things. But only one person could go in at a time, and it was only the person whose name was on the rental agreement, which was emailed. So I get a message from the credit card company saying, "Bling, here's what was just spent on your card, $2,385. Whoa, that was not the price. That's 4 times as much as I was going to pay. So I'm okay, trying to think, okay, well, what just happened there? I got to talk to wifey because I got some questions. Is it a freaking helicopter? Did she get a tank? Did she find a car with those machine guns that pop out of the fender that I've been talking about wanting? Uh-huh. Maybe she found it. That's awesome, but we don't need it. So I'm okay, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe there was just a one time. We're going to charge you 4 times what we're going to charge you for, just because it's fun. I don't know what it was for. Maybe a hold on the account for something. I'm not sure. So I wait. Half hour goes by, so I'm kind of getting a little irritated and antsy, and I see you, and I'm okay, so what? $2,300? And I look in your face, is what? No.
I was what are you talking about?
I was $2,300. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to drive a car. Where's the receipt? And you're oh,
they never gave me. I'm not gonna. Shady. I will defend myself on this whole situation, but just keep in mind that first off, this man, you could not understand what he was saying. He had an extremely heavy accent.
He was from Detroit.
I have no idea where he was from, but I could not understand. I couldn't understand him very well. But we had been waiting. We waited for, what do you think the total was?
3 hours.
3 hours. We waited. So I'm thinking to myself, this is insane. And so we're totally fatigued by even just from flying all day. We just wanted to get in and out. We thought we had an appointment, quote unquote, to pick up this car. And here we are. I mean, what if we had plans that day?
Man.
So just like that. So I was okay. So then this guy's talking to me, and he's well, and I do specifically remember this. He's well, if you want a car today, and then he's pointing, he's your reservation was for, and they got these pictures on the countertop of the cars. He's you
showed you the Beverly Hillbillies.
He points at mid-size. He's mid-size SUV, and I'm yep, that's it. That's what we want. And I had the reservation pulled up on my phone, and I'm trying to show it to him, and he refuses to look at it because obviously he made it look like I have it on my computer. I don't need to see it. And then he's but if you want a car today, and then he goes on to say, he says the Premier SUV, and he goes, and because of how you booked it, he's not much upgrade. And I'm you mean to get a car today? And he's and then he's pointing again, and he says, and then he proceeds to get a scratch piece of paper out and writes a number on it that was not a high number. It was then I thought it was that was per day. And then he's talking about California insurance, and then said, listen, we don't want anything extra. My husband told me specifically, we don't want anything extra. And he goes, oh, well, just the California or something. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I'm just nothing extra. So when he proceeds to be going on, then he writes down this number on this scratch piece of paper, and he's the car's in this thing. And he's of course, this computer thing comes up. No, never gave him my credit card. I mean, I did for him to look at it, but never ran it or anything. And there was all these words I acknowledge this and that, and then was talking about mileage and roadside assistance and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just okay, whatever. So I get it, and I walk out, and he never once says any number. No number of your total. Now, should I have been like, so what was my total of this first before I sign it? Probably. Mm-hmm. Of course I should have. But I was just so like, just give me the freaking car and we want to get out of here.
Now I'm worried again.
What?
But we'll deal with this after the vacation. But I don't know, because now I'm worried because, well, let's finish the story. So then you come out, you see me, and I'm like, what's going on? And you're like, well, I got to upgrade. This wasn't much more. Which, yeah, you got duped. And that's what makes them mad. And that's why I say never go to budget rental. I don't care if they're in Minnesota, Idaho, Michigan, Alaska. Don't go to them. Just don't. Save yourself some hassle. Because you don't want to go to a company that's going to do that to somebody. And like Marnie had said, we had been traveling all day. We were frazzled and we were frustrated. And it's like they were preying on that, you know. And I had seen the guy later in the parking lot go through the same thing, you know. So I'm like, okay, these guys, this is a hustle, you know. That's all this is. And this welcome to L.A. You know, like here's your first impression. Thanks, budget rental. But yeah, so you go back in because I'm like, nah, I want to see a receipt. I want to see this and that. And you go back in and then you call me because I told you, I was like, just show them your email. Nope, this is what we want. This is what we are going to pay for, and give us the keys. And you come back out, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, where's the receipt? And you're like, oh, they still wouldn't give me one, you know, which is it's kind of a shady practice. You know, if someone wants a receipt, you should be able to get a receipt. And they said they email it to you, whatever, which what to say about that. But we start going to the vehicle, walking towards the vehicle. And you're counting, you know, they had like little parking spots with like A23, A22, A whatever. You know, it was labeled that way. Well, we were B13. And we started getting closer and closer. And, of course, you can see like a hawk. And you're like, oh, my God, wait, B13, there's somebody in the car already. I thought, what? I was like, no, honey, they wouldn't do that. That's the one before B13. Of course, I cannot see like a hawk. So we get closer and closer. And sure as hell, there's two people in the car. Oh man, they must be confused or something. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that budget rental was at fault, but I thought, whatever. Let's talk to the guy. So I was like, hey, sir, you know, like what's going on? Here's a piece of paper. It says I have this car, and he's like, well, hold on. He gets out and gets his. Here's my piece of paper. It says I have this car. I said, well, who's got the car? Is it under my name or yours? Like, who's driving it? Because if it's under my name, I definitely don't want you driving it away, and vice versa. You probably don't want me driving it. It's under your name. He's like, so he gets out, and he's frustrated as hell too, and talked to his wife, and they were a couple from Maryland, really nice couple, and you at that point had enough. Like you turned into like
I was the
assertive.
Like, yeah,
Marney.
I was over it, so I had to go in with the stranger, and I was like, listen, this is ridiculous. You just booked the same car for two different people. I originally was upgraded to something I did not want, and I need a receipt, and I need a vehicle for us to drive away right now with this. And then I shoved the freaking phone in her face of the actual original contract, and I was like, this is what we want. I've already done this, and I need a receipt. And she rolls her eyes at me, and like 10 minutes later, I walk out with, you know, a paper receipt, and we end up getting in exactly what it was that we had came there for in the first place.
The Ford Edge, which now, because they haven't charged me again, and they haven't like reversed the charge, so I'm thinking, wonder if they just said, oh yeah, well you're back, okay, take the car that you first signed up for then.
No.
But we don't know for sure. But that's something we'll work out later. And that's something that we're so much better at. Because even oh man, I wish, but it's not Thursday. Thursday, we're going to tell an Airbnb story. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And the reason why I can't really tell too much of it now is because it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Like we still got to. Yeah, well, so that's why we'll give it a couple days to stew and to develop into a better situation for somebody. But no, I don't know if you want to say comical or.
I don't find any comical piece of it.
Nothing's funny to you.
That to me.
Oh, well, listen on Thursday and Well, of course she'll be here.
I think the fact that so much has gone so wrong with it, the whole situation, that is kind of, I find humor in that. But at the time no.
The one thing I didn't find humorous.
Okay, are you giving the story away?
No, was last night when we went to the Cat Hotel.
Yeah.
And the lady didn't give me it was the quickest in and out check-in I've ever done. It was bam, bam, sign this, initial here, see ya. Oh yeah, you guys want some coffee for the morning? Yeah, okay, bye. And I'm like, well, there's no Wi-Fi password. It must be in the room. Like all the other places we've stayed at, there's always like a welcome packet. And, oh, here's your Wi-Fi, or at least it tells you how. And this place closed at 11. Like, boom, because of COVID. They send their employees home at 11. Oh. So, yeah, nobody's there overnight. If you have a problem, call this emergency number, which they didn't answer because I called it at 8:30 this morning because they're supposed to open at 7, and they didn't. So, like,
did they have a Wi-Fi?
Because I even emailed her, the office lady, guest services or whatever at the cat place, Los Gatos or Gatos. Yeah. So I emailed them, and it was when we left. Oh, here, Mr. Winfield, here's the password.
Wow. See, I was just exhausted. So
yeah, I emailed, I called, even up until after 9 o'clock, I think I called, and still couldn't get an answer about the Wi-Fi password. Called the emergency. No, they weren't messing around. I was like, what in the hell, man? So I gave him a 1-star review. Don't mess with me, I'll go get you 1 star. Holmes. Don't see, I'm knocking my phone all over. Don't mess with me, Holmes. I'll rate you 1 star.
It will ruin you on Yelp.
Google may not be your friend. You know what I'm saying? Meow. But no, Los Gatos. But I mean, that was all right. But that was just kind of like weird.
Yeah.
And that I didn't find funny. What I did find funny is when I missed 280, the interstate, twice.
Yeah.
Not once, but twice. Because we got off, like, oh, damn, there's where I was supposed to be. All right, well, let's kick this baby back around. So we take this other road that I'm not supposed to be on, swing it back. And pretty much all I had to do was just turn around and go back the other way. No, still got off back on the other road that we were on before, going the straight back way to the cat place. Hell. But that was kind of comical. We had plenty of time.
Yeah,
it's not like we were
true.
catching a plane or anything. And it was just like, meh. Yep, that happened.
It's like, I wanted to show you this.
Yeah, I tried to play it off. Oh, I really wanted to see you, show you San Jose and the 2 buildings downtown.
This is campus.
Yeah.
Cesar Chavez Drive.
Yeah, Cesar Chavez. Did we ever look him up?
We didn't.
All right, there's like everything is like called Cesar Chavez.
Corey's convinced that he's made up all kinds of stories about who he thinks this
sounds
person
like a
is.
bad guy, doesn't it?
We should Google it. I told you it's probably something super simple and innocent.
Don't you do that, man. Cesar Chavez is going to come for you. Oh, that's the wrong one. I meant to hit a different one. But yeah, I don't know. I should tell the story of Cesar Chavez.
No, but we got to see my sister. He's an American civil rights activist.
Oh, well, good for him. I'm glad he did such great work. See, that's what I said.
Yeah.
He's probably not a gangster. But, I mean, that doesn't mean he couldn't have been a gangster.
Looks pretty gangster.
Yeah, he could be a gangster.
He looks, yeah.
Just because he wants civil rights, I mean, that's pretty cool. I would want that, too. But it doesn't mean he's not a gangster.
Labor leader, civil rights activist.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I was right.
Dedicated his life to improving the treatment, pay, and working conditions of farm workers.
Hell yeah.
And he became more and more involved in the fight against racial and economic discrimination. Co-founded Farm Workers Association in 1962.
Oh,
yeah,
old school
so he
gangster.
did good stuff.
Yeah. Maybe bad stuff, too. Sometimes you got to do a little bad stuff. And that's okay. Because then ultimately you do the good stuff. Kind of like us. But yeah, you got some family time in. That was cool. And we're about to go get some more family time in. But we did want to just drop a podcast. We know that it's, time we're recording this, It's almost 10 o'clock in Michigan right now. So.
It's late.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and publish it and, listen on Thursday because I want to see. I can't wait to hear how this plays out. Mm-hmm. Let's just say Airbnb, a smell, old crotchety lady, and a microwave equals mystery. Thursday. That was
If that's not enough to make you want to listen, I don't know what is.
Right on. No, but yeah, join us Thursday. We'll talk about that. But yeah, very fun, sober vacation. I think it's my first real vacation, and I'm glad I'm sober. Mm-hmm. Like all these things that have been happening, it would have just been, and even if I'd have been sober, let's just say, but didn't go through all the treatment centers I went through, if I didn't learn all about myself as much as I did, I probably still would have lost it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty close a couple times, but like you really learn self-control and you really learn to be mindful. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Dale Carnegie helps too when you read his books and you kind of learn how to handle situations a little bit better and kind of you want to get your way.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to offend other people, but somebody will be offended and we'll tell you about it on Thursday. Ooh, can't wait. And you know how I rate people on Google, so don't cross me, lady.
She's in trouble.
Yeah, she might be in trouble big time. Mm-hmm. Wicked Chavez after her. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I didn't mean all that. But thanks for listening. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow online, 7 p.m. Eastern time. My man Justin will be hosting it. Tyrone will be there.
Yeah.
I think my man Rob's going to be there. Rob from the early days of 217 Recovery.
Cool.
So pop into the online meeting. It's on Zoom. Maybe Big Matt will be in there too. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe Marney and I will pop in.
Maybe.
You never know. But it would be nice to see some people, some familiar faces.
For sure.
But live recorded from California. Mm-hmm. We're having fun, and we'll talk to you then.
Bye, everybody.